After 3 straight wins in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, the Rum-Bum BMW team fell short in Miami. And red-hot Turner Motorsports took the win and the points lead. In the Street Tuner class, Ian Boss and APR Motorsport won their 3rd straight race, this time in dramatic fashion.
Ian Boss to the line! Ian Boss wins it!
Things won't get any easier today. We're at the ever-challenging Barber Motorsports Park, and the tight track with non-stop action will wreak havoc on this massive field. Round 3 from Barber Motorsports Park, right now on Speed.
Well, it is springtime in the south, but already we have summertime temperatures approaching near 90 degrees just outside Birmingham, Alabama at Barber Motorsports Park, where we've gathered for round 3 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Till, filling in for Lee Diffie today alongside Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader. Chris Neville, Jamie Howe down on pit road. The first 2 rounds of the Continental Tire Challenge Series, we had Daytona, we had Homestead Rovals, if you will, an oval with a road course built in it. We come to our first natural terrain road course, Barber Motorsports. Calvin, it is a doozy.
It really is. It's a very tricky racetrack. We always see lots of action here, and I think the reason is when you drive this racetrack, there's a real rhythm to this place in terms of the line. So when you try and get 2 competitors in there side by side, typically you're going to have to elbow someone out of the way, and we're going to see more of the same here today. But Dorsey, I think one thing that may be different here today, we're seeing BMW win the first 2 rounds of this championship. Today, if you look at history, probably see a different player out front at the end.
Well, the car that's mastered Barber Motorsports racetrack has been the Ford Mustang. They've won the last 3 races in a row, and they sit on the pole here today. But if you look at that front row, there's a Ford Mustang alongside a Chevrolet Camaro, and looking back to the field, looks very much like an old Trans Am start to me.
Well, we've talked about BMWs and the pony cars up front, the Mustang and the Camaro. The question is, Chris Neville, can Mustang return to their winning ways here in Barber?
Well, you look at those first 2 wins by BMW, but it was Mustang finishing 2nd in those first 2 races. So can Mustang get their first win today? Joe Foster backing up his pole last year with another pole this year, and maybe it's the Roush guys coming away with a win, their first win at Barber Motorsports Park. But also don't forget rookie Shelby Blackstock. His mom, Reba McIntyre, is here rooting him on too. We'll probably talk to her a little bit later in the show. So is this going to be the place that Mustang gets their first win in 2011? For more on Street Tuner, Jamie Howe.
Well, both classes in the first 2 rounds of competition were decided by less than 5 seconds. In the previous round at Homestead, the ST win came down to only 2/100ths of a second. It was the APR Volkswagen of Ian Boss and Ryan Ellis who took home the win over the iMoto duo of Mark and Matt Pombo. Today, Mark has the advantage of pole, but APR has home track advantage. They're the only team in Grand Am who's from the state of Alabama. They know Barber Motorsports Park well, but Dorsey, that doesn't mean it's easy.
Yeah, that's right, Jamie. Kia track map up next, and it says it all right here. We have 15 corners on this 2.3-mile road course. The best passing area probably down into turn 5. Just like Calvin said, the elbows will be out today. There's going to be some argy-bargy, a lot of pushing around. Takes a lot to get through this race.
And if they haven't mowed the grass, it will be mowed today. That is for sure. From the Kia track map to the Kia starting grid at the top of the screen, you can see how the drivers are going to line up. Let's also take a minute to look at the Continental Tire race analysis.
Nearly 60 cars out there between the 2 classes, 2 hours, 30 minutes, but we expect a little bit of caution here as all of these cars have to try and play nice together. 2
different classes out there, almost 60 cars will take the green, and we'll have some great shots for you from outside the cars and on board as well. 4 different onboard shots, the 2 Kias in the ST or Street Tuner class, as well as 2 Mazdas, and those are going to be some great shots, I guarantee you.
Yeah, we expect the Kias to do really well. A little disappointed with their qualifying run, but Nick Johnson were fastest in one of those practice sessions before qualifying here. They should come to the front.
Porsche pace car out in front, and as usual in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series, split starts for both the Grand Sport and the Street Tuner classes. Right now, it's Grand Sport who will come to the line first. Joe Foster in his Mustang alongside Matt Bell in the Camaro. And Dorsey, you said it, it's all about muscle up front today. Foster in that orange Mustang on the right side of the screen, the blue Camaro, and the green flag waves. We're racing in round 3.
Foster gets the jump. Will Matt Bell be aggressive, try and go at the outside? No, he doesn't. He cuts across. Roush there, takes second. And here we look at the ST start.
It's a Mazda Speed 3 on the pole alongside a BMW. The green flag waves in ST. This separates the class. That's good, but there's no separation in Street Tuner as they head to turn 1.
Grand Sport through turn 1 clean. Let's see if these guys can do it. They're a little argy-bargy, as you say, Calvin.
Jeff Mosing looking to the inside for the ST lead, but meanwhile up front, it's front row Joe Foster right front in the Multimatic Mustang. There we see one of the four-line BMWs coming through the pack.
But Matt Bell in the second place Camaro right there is known for being very, very aggressive on these starts and on restarts.
Look at Nick Longy there. He's up to third in the Rum Bum car. They'd had 3 poles in a row, but they were 7th fastest in qualifying, ultimately started 4th with a few of the cars being pushed to the back.
Right now, the Camaro really hounding the Mustang in front, Chris.
Yeah, Brian, that Stevenson Camaro has been very fast all year long, but they are just looking for a result in the first 2 races of this year. They finished 28th and 11th in the second race, but they've always qualified in the top 5. Talking to Mike Johnson this week, and he said, the car is so fast this year, but we just keep having mechanical problems. At Daytona, we had a half-shaft brake, and the last round at Homestead, they had a sway bar break, not at one of the welds and not at one of the connection points, but right smack dab in the middle of the sway bar. So this team hoping that they can get those little gremlins off their back and have a good result today.
And you wonder why things break. Look at these guys launch off these curbs, throwing these cars around. I love this class, guys.
Right now, Joe Foster leading in his Mustang. Look a little bit further back. In third, the Rum Bum BMW, used to seeing that car up front. Nick Longy not at all happy with qualifying. Then the 61 Mustang right behind him. That is the Roush entry with Jack Roush Jr. on board.
Paul Girard there in that number 19, the black and white BMW. They're having a great run here from Insight Racing. This team ran very well in the ST class last year, and now they've jumped up to the GS class, really starting to show their stuff.
Guys, this racetrack is really tough. The first 3 corners are completely blind. What I mean, the driver's going up and down these different hills, as you see. You can't look over the top of the hill. You don't know what's on the other side, and it, later in the race, it becomes a problem.
And Dorsey, you were talking about the pace of Joe Foster up front, Matt Bell giving chase. These guys running hard very early here. We've got warm track temperatures, and Calvin, we talked about how tricky this racetrack is. These guys can burn a car down pretty quickly, can they not?
They can. They certainly have to be very careful with that tire management here today. And this is a unique situation in terms of they're running on the racetrack. The Indy cars just got off here, haven't done their qualifying. They've been really dominating the track time for the last 24 hours. So, you know, the rubber on the racetrack is Firestone rubber. How does this Continental tire rubber, is it compatible with that? That's for these drivers to now find out in these initial laps.
Matt Bell in that beautiful blue, red, and yellow Camaro right behind Joe Foster, really trying to hold on to the back of the Mustang right now. These two beginning to pull away from Nick Longy and the BMW in third.
There's just no way in the world you cannot like this. I mean, these cars are sliding. You can see them tail out. Good move by Jack Roush Jr. right now. His 61 Mustang up to third.
Yeah, just dives it down to the inside. And one thing that the BMW is going to have to deal with here today, they've had a rev restriction since the last round. Before it was unrestricted, you talked to the teams, they ran about 8,600. Now it's 8,250. And what it's doing, Dorsey, is really affecting the gearing through the tighter corners. Normally they were using second, quick jump up to third. Now second doesn't have enough rev range to really utilize it. That's really affected their performance this weekend.
This racetrack, most of the corners are almost the exact same speed as the one you came through before. That being said, these guys are only using 2 gears, you know, so you can't be right all the time like that.
Well, from Grand Sport back to Street Tuner right there in the number 31, Mark Pombo. And if you watched round 2 from Homestead Miami Speedway, you saw the highs of motorsports and the lows. I talked to Mark Pombo today. They were passed right at the line by Ian Boss in the APR Volkswagen. He said, we were so high from where we stood, we thought we had it. And then he nipped us at the line. He said, but it just gave us a little bit more adrenaline coming into this weekend, and we want it bad.
Boy, you know, we didn't even really know in the booth which one of those guys won. That's how close it was. It was just spot on, a photo finish.
We're a little further back. BMWs, the Bimmer World BMW doing battle there as well. And that is the neat thing about this category. We've got Mazdas and MX-5. You saw it flash by. It's the Mazda Speed 3 that was on the pole. 2 different types of BMWs, a 3 Series and a 1 Series in it. And there it is, a good indication of the BMWs and the Mazdas going at it right now.
Yeah, Bimmer World came so close to that championship last year, effectively lost on a tiebreaker where the car had problems in that final round at Miller, and they've expanded too. Remember, they had a 2-car ST team last year. They've got 2 cars in both categories now, and they've really done a tremendous job, really established themselves out of coming out of sprint form of racing with the World Challenge Series, now in this form of racing, Dorsey, but they've really adapted to the endurance strategy very, very well.
It's so different than when you're doing a sprint versus endurance. You've got multi-driver versus single driver, trying to get all of the variables where everybody's happy on the team and the car works well. And speaking of variables, we're going to see now further as we go green, which of these cars is the best balance and which is going to run off their tires and slow up quicker than the others.
There's the 171 APR Volkswagen that took the victory last time out at Homestead Miami Speedway, and you talked about it, Dorsey. We've got front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive in ST. We've got high-horsepower V8s and smaller turbos in Grand Sport, so very different types of cars, all after the same goal.
And these turbocharged cars, they have regulations on how much boost or pressurization you can make on that engine. That being said, they look at those spikes. There's always a spike when you shift a gear to the next taller gear, and they're judging off the top of that spike. So most of these turbo cars have had to reduce their boost pressure significantly, this car being one of them, to stay under that limit.
Yeah, because they actually did post-race tag at the last round, having won that race. In fact, were found to be a foul of that, so they lost 3 points in the championship because of that infraction.
Well, round 3 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge underway from beautiful Barber Motorsports Park. We expect a great one from down here in the Deep South. We'll bring you all the action right here on Speed, the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. Stay with us. Speed's coverage of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge is presented by Continental Tire, innovative technology, driving confidence, and brought to you in part by the Kia Forte Coupe. It's one hot ride. It is getting hotter here just outside Birmingham, Alabama. As you look at Joe Foster, he's begun to pull away a little bit from the 9 right behind him of Matt Bell. But Jack Roush Jr., he is on a tear to the front, Dorsey.
Boy, he is indeed. He's found the rhythm on the Mustang. He's running the fastest lap times now, finding a way around Matt Bell. A little slide off the back of the Camaro, but that's what we like.
That's kind of Matt Bell's style. He's got great car control, and he really wrings the neck of every car that he gets into. But you have to wonder how that you see him there weaving under brake. It looks like he got a little bit too much rear brake there coming down into turn 5 and just really pushing the envelope. He knows that Roush wants by. Roush has caught these guys in a hurry, so he's got a very fast race car. Now, Joe Foster, he's stretching the lead a little bit, and he seems to be the smoothest out there. He's really managing those tires very well.
Well, I talked about it heating up not only on the track, but the ambient temperature as well. Chris, what can you tell us about the heat down on pit road?
You guys have been talking about that Firestone rubber out on the racetrack because of IndyCar practice and the track changing because of that, but also this track is going to change a lot because of track temperature. An hour before the race, the track temperature was just over 80 degrees. Right now, it's now over 100 degrees. We're anticipating track temperature probably about 115, 120 degrees by the end of this race. Dorsey, with track temperature changing about 20 degrees throughout the race, how do these production cars change because of that track temp change?
You know, it depends on how the guys set it up. I mean, they knew today was going to be hotter than anything that they practiced. I hope some of them made adjustments because it's going to get slippery, Chris. The hotter it gets, this racing surface is going to get, oh, hey, look at this, Roush to the inside.
We know he's aggressive. I tell you what, Matt Bell is starting to slide that Camaro more and more and more, and I'm not sure how effective his lap times will be with the car in that state. He's got to cool those tires off a little bit, but Joe Foster's really not getting away too far. He's got some ST traffic in between he and the other 2 guys right now.
You were talking about how smooth Joe Foster is, and that'll pay dividends as this racetrack gets hot.
Well, as Jack Roush Jr. takes his Mustang towards the front, Scott Panzer having problems in the 21, Jamie.
Yes, the Panzer did bring the car onto pit road. The crew did go to work. They're finished right now. They're talking amongst themselves on the radio. The issue right now is power steering. They did have the power steering go out yesterday. They said they can drive it without it, but they're afraid that it's going to be a long, tough race. And with the heat right now, it's a lot of muscle they're going to have to put behind this Mustang in order to be competitive.
And you see right there them being held in pit lane. That's a penalty, so somebody has done something.
Oh, this is going to mean Panzer's going to be on fire when he gets back.
Panzers are on fire. You had to say it, didn't you?
This is going to be entertaining right here. Matt Bell's car, that Camaro, the 9, is really loose right now. He's got Jack Roush Jr. really putting the pressure on him, and you're not able to back off very much when you got somebody breathing down your throat. That Camaro's getting looser and looser.
That's a shame for Scott Panzer and Todd Snyder. They had a great run at Homestead, but had fuel pickup problems. Let's go from Grand Sport back to Street Tuner once again, where Mark Pombo continuing to hold on to the lead. We talked about the disappointment from Homestead Miami Speedway when they got nipped right there at the line, and he said, you know what, it hurt. It still does, but a day or 2 later, we looked at all the things that we actually accomplished, and we took those positives away. That's what we're going to try to put in play here this weekend.
Go ahead, Calvin.
Well, you have to. It's a long championship season. You can't afford to get down in the mouth about losing a win, but they are competitive every week, as you can see, sitting on the pole, leading right now. And the Mazda Speed 3 has really come through those teething problems very well. They had some electronic issues where they really couldn't get the car to run at full power for the full race. Oh, problems there, the 04. That's a new car out in the field this weekend. Nissan
370Z, brand new. Actually, first time it hit a racetrack, first time it turned a wheel was right here yesterday.
Mike Sweeney certainly done a great job getting to grips with this car. Only a couple of seconds off the pole on debut, and that's the first time the car has seen the racetrack was here in practice. That's a stunning performance by this team. The car, as you can see, looks awesome.
They not only built the race car in the last month and a half, but they built the shop the race car was built in the last month and a half. That looked like an engine failure to me, guys, and he's calling it a day. We're talking about Mark Pombo a little while ago. Pepe Pombo, who I go way back with, his father, we were sitting down there,
Pepe
and
Pombo's
Mark's
father
son,
or Pepe?
No, Pepe. But Mark Pombo's son, who's still in diapers, a young guy, Pepe gave him a little time lapse thing. Since he's so young, he put race cars in a little box, and they're going to open it up when he's 21 years old and show him what the old race cars look like. Unfortunately, I was in that box.
Jack Roush Jr. has gotten past Matt Bell, and we saw Bell sliding that Camaro around. Seems to me like once we see the tires start to go, Calvin, it's even hard to cool them off and get them back, but once they start to go, the car just seems to get worse and worse.
It does, but I tell you what, I am so... Look at Matt Bell there. I mean, he just slides that car around. He's totally comfortable doing it. A lot of drivers really start to back off the pace when the car's in that state, but he's able to hang on to it, just a tribute to him. But the Camaro certainly starts to get a little bit more movement than the Mustangs, and I think it's really these Mustangs are a bit further developed. Camaro really only in its second year of racing.
Here you go. Jack Roush gives him a little help. Yeah.
Look at the save.
That's a car control. You talk about Matt Bell's car control. There it was. Jack Roush Jr. gets in the quarter panel, turns him sideways. Most guys would have spun that car. Matt Bell, fully aware of how to take care of the situation, fixes it and brings it back in line.
And we've all instructed. I'm not sure you can teach that. I think that's just natural ability. That's just pretty darn impressive. Chris, what have you got?
Well, Mike Johnson's on the radio with Matt Bell right now. And Mike, we're watching Matt really slide that car around with the Roush Mustang right behind him. Are you telling him, hey, man, you got to take it easy on those tires too early in the stint?
Well, we're working really hard on it right now because Matt's obviously struggling, as you can see on TV. It's the highest track temperature we've seen all week. You know, the car's really fast over a lap or two, but we knew it was going to fade off. But what we're doing now is really just kind of looking at the long term of the race. Say, just let Jack go. He's quicker. Let him run down Joe. Maybe they'll put the pressure on each other, and hopefully we'll still have a decent car in another 10, 20 laps.
Anything you can do during the pit stop to make the car stick better?
Well, we can adjust tire pressures, and then we do have adjustable sway bars, but we can't do it in the cockpit. So it's something we would have to add during the pit stop. I mean, we're obviously talking about it right now.
All right, good luck.
Well, we talked about it at the top of the show, making sure that you had the right strategy and that you saved the car. Now Jack Roush Jr. has gotten past Matt Bell. He'll see if he can chase down Joe Foster, who continues to lead Grand Sport. The last time Joe Foster won in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series, right here at Barber Motorsports Park in 2008. We'll be back. Welcome back to round 3 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series, where Joe Foster in his number 15 Mustang, the Boss 302, still out in front. The temperatures continuing to climb here as we get towards the middle part of the day, but Foster in that Mustang has not put a wheel wrong. We haven't seen him slide the car around a lot. Jack Roush Jr. there in the 61, that beautiful red Mustang, giving chase, but that car moving around a lot more, and you got to think tire wear, Dorsey.
Jack Roush Jr. must have either had a moment or he's backed off on his own, because he was right on the bumper of Joe Foster not very long ago. So either he's had a slide, which we saw him, like you said, Brian, the car was moving around quite a lot more than Joe Foster's car, that's for sure.
Yeah, he lost exactly 1 second over Joe Foster on that past lap, and a lot of that is traffic. These guys are fighting through the ST machines right now.
We've had a little bit of attrition, but you know, we talked about almost 60 cars started here today, so Joe Foster now beginning to work his way through traffic. Jamie?
Yeah, I checked in with Multimatic, Joe Foster's team, and they said, you know, we're an engineering company. We knew it was going to be hot, so we worked on that. We have this car fairly planted down to the ground. Their other advantage early on, though, was that Joe was not in traffic, so he wasn't having to push the car. He was also leading, so he wasn't having to drive too aggressively. They said as this race continues, we can see him slide around a little bit, but right now, he's just sticking to his paces and leading.
You know, once you get those tires hot like Jack Jr.'s got going on right now with his Mustang, one thing that would help him was to stay off these curbs. He's using the curbs to shorten the distance and straighten the radius between the two corners, but it's upsetting the car and making it slide even more, which is making the tire go even worse.
Yeah, once you get over the back side of that curb, you're basically catching the car and it's sort of like hopping around a little bit. That just generates tire temperature as well. Then you see Joe sliding it just a little bit, but keeping it really neat and tidy.
Mustang looks very good, nice and stable, and that's why right now Joe Foster out in front, but we've got a long way to go. We've got at least a couple of pit stops and driver changes yet to go, and that is what the lead in Grand Sport looks like as you see the 61 flash by.
I shouldn't say what I'm about to say, but it's been pretty clean so far, actually.
You did it.
There we go.
There we go. It up.
Looking back through the ST field, there's the 198 Mini. Sarah Catania behind the wheel right now, and she qualified that car quite well, up in 8th in class, but had to start from the back. She's working her way up in the field, and if she works her way up much further, another 9 spots, she's going to catch the number 10 Kia, driven by Michael Galati, not Nick Janssen, and that's probably a good thing for the Kia team to ride on board. Yeah, does Sarah know that? Because it was at this very racetrack last year when Nick and Sarah had, well, we'll call it a disagreement over a certain amount of real estate on the racetrack.
I don't think Sarah had much to do with it, as you'll see.
Well, there's Sarah in the Mini, and that's Nick, and bye, Sarah. Boom.
Oh, that could have been much worse, but it was still bad enough.
He wasn't very apologetic after the incident either.
No, as a matter of fact, I think he said, yes, I did it, and I did it on purpose, basically.
I mean, no bones about it. He said that he was aggravated with Sarah, and he took care of it.
Well, and that problem actually continued on throughout the year. They found each other a couple of times. Michael Galati behind the wheel of the number 10 Kia right now. Galati, a specialist in these front-wheel drive cars, several championships in the Speed World Challenge category, and he's been brought in, taking Andy Lally's seat in the 10 while Lally pursues his NASCAR career.
The fun thing about Catania and Nick Janssen, they're separated by just 1 point in the driver championship right now, so it's going to be a fun season to watch. See the difference in speed there with Galati being passed by one of the faster GS machines, but Galati has really fitted into this team very well. He's got enormous experience, and this is a big
Charlie Putnam.
Yeah, this is last year's championship winning, 15 straight, top 10 run going, and it could be over here. What is the problem? You see Charlie trying to signal to the corner workers there what the issue is, but this is very rare for that 4-line car. They obviously had a great consistency last year and winning the championship with strong runs every weekend. And with the amount of competition in this category, it's tough to fall out of a race and get a bad points total.
You don't see Charlie make many mistakes, nor do I see any damage on that car, which would indicate that he's had a collision with something. It looks more as a mechanical aspect.
And remember, that's Charles Espinlov and Charlie Putnam. This is your defending Grand Sports champion. Chris, do you have any word from down in the pits? What's going on?
Yeah, we just caught up with Charles Espinlov. Charles, we see your teammate Charlie stuck on the racetrack. What's going on with the BMW?
It sounds like we have one of those rare engine problems. You know, you run for a long time, and for some reason we just have something go wrong with the engine. We're building a little pressure in the engine, so he wanted to pull it off before it got unsafe for everybody.
Not a good day for last year's champions.
What he's talking about with building pressure in the engine, they've got some gauges now. The crankcase pressure normally doesn't have a lot of pressure in there, but when you break a piston or you have some kind of internal problem, it starts pressurizing the crankcase, and it's a pre-warning of a huge disaster.
This is something that's about to come.
Right.
They finished 6th here last year, and they were tied for 4th in the Grand Sport points as they came into the weekend, and we already alluded to it. Even though this is just the 3rd round of the championship, it's still, you can't be giving points away. You don't finish a race here and you lose all those points. It's hard to make them back up.
It is, because there's so many good teams that have put together a consistent season. So if you're coming, a big hole in the points there, it's really hard to catch back up. We saw that's why they won the championship last year. There's some potentially stronger cars or cars that were getting betting results, but they could never catch back up to the 48 guys.
And the full course caution comes out, probably because of the 48 parked there on course. So this will bunch up the field, and it'll be interesting to see what the teams decide to do here. Will they take this early caution? We're 32 minutes into this event, so the drivers will get points at this point in time. So while we are at full course caution, remember it's round 3 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge from Barber Motorsports Park. Teams will decide what they want to do with their strategy, and while they do, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. Wednesday, it's Mission Impossible on an all-new Car Warriors. The All-Stars and the Challengers have to custom build 2 race cars from scratch, but this time there's a twist. They'll have to do it in only 36 hours. Car Warriors is all new, and it's Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern on Speed. Green flag just waves again at Barber Motorsports Park. And the field, after coming to pit lane on that full course caution, has taken on some service. Different strategies at play here, and Billy Johnson taking that Roush Mustang back to the front. Look at this, the Rum Bum BMW working up the inside, trying to make a move. And this is going to get all shaken out after this restart here. We've got some ST cars in there as well. And there he goes, Billy Johnson in that red 61 to the front.
Look at that, though. Matt Plum then had to defend from Scott Maxwell. The 15 car dropped a few positions during that first pit stop. Been 2 caution flags fly here in the last few laps. And it essentially means that all of these GS cars have now made 1 pit stop, and a lot of driver changes have occurred already.
Tonis Kazimets has taken over in the 46 BMW as well. He's running 3rd right now in Grand Sport. He has led both of the races that he has been in this year, and for an open wheel guy to step into this Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series and put on the performance that he has, pretty impressive stuff. John Edwards holding down the 2nd position, Billy Johnson up front. Chris?
Well, we're going to have to keep an eye on that fall line BMW because the rest of the team has been having a lot of engine problems this weekend. The 45 car had an engine problem yesterday after qualifying. They had to start in the back. Right now, Hugh Plum dealing with engine problems in the car again. It sounds like they've got a dead cylinder in that car, and it was the 48 car that blew a motor just about 20 minutes ago. So right now, Tonis Kazimets having a great run in the car, but the team really scratching their heads. What's going on with those BMW motors?
Kazimets has cleared traffic. He has his sights now on John Edwards in front, and you see the 13 of Matt Plum in the Rum Bum entry trying to work his way up there as well, a little sideways coming off the corner. I couldn't tell if there was contact there with the 21 or not, but now Plum trying to work his way to the front as well.
21 car being very aggressive there and letting these leaders through. He's a lap or more down, but still fighting hard.
While these guys do a little bit of battle here on the racetrack, perhaps a little argy-bargy, lets you get you up to speed from the drop of the green to where we are right now. Temperatures been climbing all day long, but the start, it was a very neat and tidy one, and somewhat surprising as the Grand Sport field heads down into turn 1. We saw Joe Foster in his Mustang hold on the lead. Scott Panzer in the blue 21, a little bit of excitement there.
And we saw Mike Sweeney on debut with this new Nissan. Unfortunately, looks like they got some engine problems, but showed a lot of promise here this weekend.
Jack Roush Jr. introducing himself to Matt Bell for 2nd place.
Mike Johnson said, yeah, we let him through. Well, I think they let him through after they traded a little paint, and then a problem for the 58 Maxwell Paper Porsche as they did some service on pit lane, and I think you got to latch the hood.
Yeah, that didn't make it very far, did it?
Take a look at this. Rob Finley in that white Mustang gets into the 81 BMW, and it turns out not so well for the ST BMW as he ends up in the gravel, and that helped extend that caution that we had just a moment ago. But right now, Billy Johnson taking over the wheel from Jack Roush Jr., and they are up front. It's a Mustang leading once again here at Barber Motorsports Park. It's the 15 that started from the pole, and now Scott Maxwell running 5th. Will have to work his way up. We still have plenty of time to go. An hour left, Cal.
Yeah, there's a long way to go in this one, so it's really a question of now being patient, managing those tires. We expect the GS cars will need to hit pit lane again, but we see John Edwards now up to 2nd in the Stevenson Camaro, and talking to Mike Johnson, the team leader there, he said, you know, we brought John on this year. He's a fantastic young driver, and when the car is good, he is dynamite fast. Then we see the 196 car off to the side of the road. So problems one of the RSR Minis. Getting back to the John Edwards story, he said he's really quick and the car is good, but when the car starts to go away a little bit, Matt Bell's experience really starts to come into play there. So I think for John Edwards, he's got to try and keep his car really straight, try not to burn those rear tires down like we saw on Matt Bell earlier.
This is the leader in ST, the 27 Mazda, and he's under some pressure, I should say.
Brad Rampelberg there in that Mazda Speed 3. Chris Gleason in the 181 in there. Owen Trinkler in the 198 Mini as well. So they're having a good go of it. And you'll see some Grand Sport traffic coming through. That is the number 50 Finley Motorsports Mustang that we saw involved with the 81 ST BMW moments ago.
That being said, however, there was a waving yellow back there, which is a no passing zone.
Yeah, even though you're in a different class, you still can't pass under those caution areas of the racetrack. But we expect this 198 Owen Trinkler. He's done some instructing here at Barber for many years, so he certainly knows his way around this racetrack. I think he's going to try and put the pressure on the 27 machine of Brad Rampelberg.
Saw the other Mini on the side of the road just a moment ago, so problems there. But for right now, Owen Trinkler trying to give a fight to the 27 of Rampelberg, and he's down on the inside, guys.
Wow, he is really hooked up. That Mini seems to really be able to hold a tight line. Has got great grip right now while the tires are relatively fresh. And the big question for all is he takes the lead. For all of these ST cars, they start with about an hour 34 to go. It's going to be a stretch, but they may be able to see the checkered flag without another splash for fuel, Dorsey.
That was pretty impressive to be able to pinch that Mini down and not step out the back end. I mean, it's got a lot of grip.
Right now, Owen Trinkler moving up in the ST category. And Chris, what have you got from pit road?
Well, I'm down here with Brett Spouty, who just got out of the Subaru. Brett led for a little while there. Now, a lot of those muscle cars up front were really slipping and sliding around. Your four-wheel drive, you were looking like you were in great shape.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was actually handling, it was a little pushy off, but other else, it was just awesome. Everyone else is sliding, we're just hanging on. So
you guys are out of sequence on pit stops, so can you do it in one more stop?
I think so, yeah.
Will it just be fuel, or you can do tires too?
We'll see. Probably both.
These guys are having a great run. It was a little bit disappointed at Homestead. They were very fast there, but they broke a ship fork.
Owen Trinkler continuing to lead in the ST category, and this team has had some competition adjustments since the last round as well. Their RPM has been lowered a little bit, so they're trying to work their way through some changes as the 61 of Billy Johnson works his way through traffic. And this is what we were going to deal with today. We saw on the graphic only 4 cars out of this event so far, and traffic still a very big part of it as John Edwards tries to take the fight back to Billy Johnson. Round 3 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series from right here at Barber Motorsports Park. We'll be back. Just over 1 hour and 20 minutes to go here in round 3 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge from Barber Motorsports Park. We've had a couple of yellows so far, but things now really beginning to heat up on the racetrack, and the cards being laid down on the table. We're beginning to see strategy unfold as Billy Johnson in the 61, that red Mustang out of the Roush Motorsports stables, leads over John Edwards in the blue Camaro, the number 9 right there. Matt Bell with a good run early. It'll be interesting to see if John Edwards can keep the tires underneath that Camaro. Matt Bell really sliding it around a lot, and John Edwards looking a lot more stable right now.
He is, and I'm not sure if they made some tire pressure adjustments or whatever during that pit stop when they switched tires and got John in the car, but certainly trying to drive the car a little bit neater. And sometimes you can get some lap time out of it, Dorsey, by abusing it early on, but it's all about the complete stint and the ET between start to finish on your stint, not just one lap.
Yeah, by driving smooth now, he might be a little bit slower, but over that overall fuel spent, like you say, it should gain dividends later on in this run.
Right now, Billy Johnson working his way through traffic, and a problem for the 23 BMW. Just drove off the outside part of the road. Looked like he might have had a problem, but that's not where you want to go, because that was a gravel trap. You see the 54 right now. Mike McGovern behind the wheel of that Mustang. It was Shelby Blackstock who took the green flag in that car, and once again, just like he did at Daytona, ran out front. Jamie?
Shelby Blackstock did have a fantastic opening stint here in Shelby. Let me tell you, this is the place to watch from. You can see everything, and you're actually spotting right now, so that's important. Your second Continental race, and you are up front again. How?
Just strategy and trying to move up positions when I can, trying to be smart, not to try to get in trouble, and just, as I said, just try to be smart and move up positions slowly by slowly.
Now, this is a big weekend for you. You have Mom here again, country music sensation Reba McEntire. Your dad's also here. What does it feel like to come in and be able to perform well in front of your parents?
Oh, amazing. I mean, they're helping me, they're supporting me as much as possible. It's good to just see results every time, so as much as I can, either on the racetrack, I just try to get the best results possible.
Reba, you've traveled the world, you've seen everything that there is to see, but now you get to see your son doing something he loves and performing well. What's that like as a mom?
Oh, it's wonderful. This is our second Grand Am race, and we're thrilled to death for Shelby getting to do this. Jim Click, he's in Jim Click's car today, and Jim's a great friend and a great guy. He's very instrumental in getting Shelby started in all this, so it's great that it has come full circle today.
Seeing everything that you see and traveling as much as you do, how cool is it to come out and see sports car racing?
It's very cool. There are so many nice people here, and I'm really glad that Shelby's getting associated with nice folks that love the sport of racing, and Shelby, I can tell he's very passionate about it.
Well, Reba's busy up here, guys. She's doing the team photography work. She's documenting everything for Shelby. She's got her camera. Congratulations on a great run, and good luck. Thank you very much.
We're under full course caution. You know, she talked about Jim Click being so instrumental in Shelby's career. Well, Jim Click gave Billy Johnson his first ride in a Grand Sport car right here at this racetrack. So Billy Johnson also benefiting from Jim Click's experience in this series and with his team right now. Mike McGovern behind the wheel of the 54 Jim Click Racing entry, that Mustang. And we're under full course caution because of the problems that we saw with the 23 BMW. Take a look and show you how that problem started. Down into the hairpin.
Oh, he gives a little help around there.
And Nicholas Ronday in the 18.
Now I get it. I thought when I saw it go in the gravel trap that it had a toe-in problem. We'll take a look at it. If it goes in the gravel trap, I believe you'll see that the front had a toe problem. You can see it perfectly right there. That's a very big toe
Major
problem.
toe out of there.
Yeah.
Not quite the alignment that you want on your BMW, but Billy Johnson in his Mustang continues to lead. We're under full course caution again from Barber Motorsports Park, and we'll be back for more Continental Tire action right after this. Wednesday, Car Science breaks down the technology and science of what moves you. It's high-octane half hour of cold, hard facts that'll blow your mind. All new Car Science, Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern on Speed. And a great fan group out here this weekend. They have turned out in droves, and why would they not? Billy Johnson leads the field onto the front straightaway. It's a great weekend of racing here at Barber Motorsports Park. The green flag flies yet again. Billy Johnson leads the field down to turn 1.
Eric Cohen having a great run there in the 00 Camaro. He lines up second. Here comes one of the Turner boys. That's Billy Orblin down to the inside. Very aggressive stuff.
You see that brake lock up just for an instant? I mean, that was his perfect brake.
Joey Hand there at the back of the pack. He's had to play catch up. They got a penalty of that 97 car during one of the pit stops, but these caution periods have really helped him out.
I think Anthony Massari in the 38 BGB Porsche Cayman thought about trying to defend a little bit, and then he saw the speed at which Orblin was coming and said, no, I think I'll let this one go. And right now, Massari under attack. The 15 of Scott Maxwell gets through.
Orblin was going to have that corner one way or another.
Yeah. And look at this. All these full course cautions, they bring everybody together. It takes a few laps to get things sorted out. And the other thing that we're seeing is different fuel strategies coming into play now. We've had cars that have made what they hope to be their final stop here on that last full course caution. Grand Sport cars as well as street tuner cars. So things really now being laid out there. We talked about it earlier. Strategies were beginning to come into focus. And certainly right now we can see exactly what everybody's strategy is. Right now, Billy Johnson's strategy, stay out front, and he is. That car looks good.
It went green for such a long period of time that people were starting to think it wasn't going to be a normal race. And now we've got the normal 1, 2, 3 caution right after another.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, Brian, a lot of the teams, like the Rumbum team, for example, they were the last of the GS cars to make a pit stop, so they should be in pretty good shape. About an hour 3 left on the board when they made their last pit stop, and even under green, they might be able to sneak it. It's going to be tight, but a lot of these other GS cars will need to see pit lanes. Certainly our leader will. Look at this. A little bit of a block job going down the front straightaway here towards turn 1.
Speaking of tight, yeah, I was trying to make it 3 wide back there. Everybody trying to work around some of these cars.
Guy Cosmo in that bright green 83 BGB Porsche Cayman working in there as well, right there behind the 54 of Mike McGovern.
As we go deeper in this race, one thing we got to watch for is when we just saw that right there, guys wanting to go 2 and 3 wide through these corners, and this tire pickup we talked about earlier, you know, on the outside, the far outside of some of these corners could become a problem.
Look at Orblin down to the inside. He's really slicing through this field, and what a job he did along with this team. They pulled Dallalana at Homestead where they got the double victory in GS. Oh, Joey Hand runs wide there on the grass. Lost a bit of traction, lost some time.
Joey wants to get up there where Bill is. These two guys love to fight one another. They're great friends, obviously.
Kyle Gimple having a great run as well in his Mustang, the 68. That's silver and black with the bright orange graphics on the side. So Gimple having a good run as well. Busy up front in Grand Sport. Busy in the street tuner category as well, where the Pombo brothers in the 31 continued to lead that category. It's Matt Pombo behind the wheel, but timing and scoring not showing that right now. It's showing a little mix-up, and that concerns me because we know when timing and scoring is not right, cars not registering that driver time across the line, so they've got some type of a problem that they're going to have to get worked out, I'm sure, as far as the officials are concerned. But there's Matt Pombo in the 31.
Pombo boys doing a great job, no question about that. Sorry, go ahead.
Jesse Combs doing a great job as well in the 56 in their running second. He was leading at the drop of the green on the restart. He had a great run going, as well did his teammate Jeff Mossing in the 10 Kia, having a good run as well. Jamie, what do you have from the Kia camp?
I have Trevor Hopwood. Trevor, you did a long stint in the car. Just saw Adam Burrows get behind the wheel. You guys are doing well right now. What'd you tell him about the car?
Car was starting to understeer a little bit. I think the rear end was a little too hooked up. We decided to go deep on the strategy.
Kept up with the strategies of the two cars in front, and they're wondering about the 97, I'm sure, and Bill Arbelin, but the 00, they know that he's going to have to pit. So what are they telling Scott Maxwell on the radio?
Well, I think be patient. Try not to use fuel. If you know you can't beat him into a corner, just coast in. Try and save that fuel so that we've definitely got enough. And then maybe, if there isn't a caution, Orbelin's going to have to pit anyway. But save your car for the end of this race. There's still a long way to go.
Look at Nick Janssen in the Kia Forte Coupe trying to take the lead right now over Pombo, 31 right in front of him. So and we know Nick doesn't mind loosening you up.
That's right. And we spoke to Nick last night after qualifying, and I said, how are things? You don't look too good on the grid. He said, we've got a very strong race car. We talked about it earlier. They ran here a couple of weeks ago, got a good test under their belt. They've done a lot of development with this Kia, and he seemed very, very confident despite their qualifying order, and we can see why. He's got a fast race car, and he's trying to go one better. They're trying to get to the top step of that podium.
You got to give hats off to Mark and Matt Pombo. They did not even run at Daytona, and then they showed up, ran their first race of the season at Homestead, had that great photo finish there, came up a little bit short, and Matt doing a great job in the car here today. That iMoto Mazda Speed 3 is running well. On the right side of your screen, you see the Grand Sport battle as well, so you're not missing anything. Maxwell still trying to take the fight to Eric Curran, but I've got to wonder, like we talked about just moments ago, he's not going to risk anything. He can conserve tires and actually conserve fuel where he's running right now. You see no one right behind him.
And you see Oberlin backing up to this pair a little bit, so maybe they've got on the radio to Oberlin and said, try and save fuel if you can. You know, just manage the gap off of Curran. Curran definitely has to pit. The guy behind him is the one you need to worry about.
Yeah, Curran's a sitting duck right now. In fact, he's doing a great job with what he's got to work with, but he's going to lose that position. Everybody around him knows it, and I think that is exactly what happened with Bill. They've told him, and here we go, the Kia to the lead.
Well, for now, anyway, at least through that apex, but let's watch it onto the front straightaway. Nick Janssen able to get the better of Matt Pombo there in the Kia. It was the Kia over the Mazda Speed 3, and then right behind them you see the 171 Volkswagen of Ian Boss, and he and his teammate Ryan Ellis have worked that Volkswagen to the front. APR doing a great job overcoming that boost restriction that they got after Homestead, and that APR Volkswagen right back up into the battle for the lead.
You know, regardless of what happens, this is going to make the Kia people, the engineers and so forth from here from the factory, really, really happy to see their car up in front. You know, there's a long way to go still, but that was just a great job. We've said Nick Janssen in that car is really quick.
Yeah, the Kia manufacturing plant is just a few miles away in West Point, Georgia. So in a moment, we could have really two locally based teams, Connecticut based over in Georgia. Here we see it. Nick Janssen slicing to the inside. Oh, slides it, but he's got the grip there with that Kia to get the job done. Superb move.
Gives him the apex for the second of those right-handers, and he gets passed through.
Good clean racing. That was great stuff.
Oh, he's been passed back again.
This is good. This is the replay of the pass.
This is another
slides
look.
up the inside, and you know it really takes two drivers to make sure that that happens cleanly.
True.
If Matt hadn't seen him, he could have closed down on him, and we've certainly seen Nick drive more aggressively than that before. So that pass was done nice and clean. But look at Ian Boss now in the 177 and 171 APR Volkswagen.
Yeah, he's going to be real strong. We talk about locally based team. They're the most local to this racetrack. But up front, look at this. Billy Oberlin still has the lead, but there's still a strong battle going on between Eric Curran and Scott Maxwell.
I would think Oberlin right now would be mirror driving. He's just going to run as fast as he needs to just stay in front of those guys.
Bill Oberlin holding down the point here in round 3 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series from Barber Motorsports Park. In ST, it's Nick Janssen. Still plenty of racing yet to come. Round 3 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series from Barber at the drop of the green. It was Joe Foster who led. Scott Panzer a little wide down in turn 1, but the field makes it through.
Then Mike Sweeney had some problems on debut with this new Nissan, but a great debut run for the team nonetheless.
Jack Roush Jr. takes second from Matt Bell. I said takes.
It took it indeed, and then problems for the Maxwell Paper Porsche. They leave pit lane after service. The hood pins release. And with no visibility, you can't make it around the racetrack. They would pull to the side and get that taken care of.
Rob Finley gets into one of the Bimmer World cars, sends him for a ride, and he gets stuck in the gravel. We had another caution because of this. As we said today, you got to play nice together. Nick Ronday gets into the 23 machine. Great damage right there to the front toe link, and that is the result of that action right there into the gravel trap, and he is retired.
That brought out another full course caution as the 23 sits stranded in the gravel. But look at this, Nick Janssen in his Kia up the inside. Matt Pombo trying to hold on in the Mazda Speed 3, nothing doing. Janssen takes over the point in ST.
Then Billy Johnson, they stop a little bit later than the rest of the guys, and they think they're good to go. The question is, are the rest of the GS field good to go in terms of fuel?
And there's the 96 of Bill Arbelin. You said, are they good to go? Arbelin leading right now, but will they need fuel? That is the question that I'm sure many people are asking up and down pit lane, Jamie.
They are, and Will Turner, I asked earlier, does Bill Auberlin need fuel? And you said, well, not right now. Here we are getting to the closing stages of the race. What can you tell us now about the strategy?
Well, the strategy worked out really well for us, but luck played a big part of this. After the competition adjustment that Grand Am did to us, we came here saying we got to take some risks. We took some risk on setup, and my guys worked 2 nights straight getting the setup for this place, and it looks like we got it straight. But you know, the risk that we took seemed to be playing out now. But this is Grand Am racing, and anything can happen, and it usually does in this kind of racing. So we'll see what happens. But again, luck played this one. Luck got us to the front, and we'll see if we can hang on.
So both cars good to go on fuel?
Both cars right now are good to go.
All right, thank you.
It took a while to get that answer.
Man, and it is going to be a good one. Auberlin leads. Maxwell, Kazimitz, Hand, Cosmo, Wilden, Plum. All of these guys should be good to go on fuel, but it's Auberlin with a great jump at the start. And I can tell you, this next 30 minutes, this next half hour here is going to be intense.
Yeah, you can see there he got a great launch, and then Maxwell immediately had to defend from Kazimitz. Then Joey Hand's right in there as well in the second of the Turner cars. So lots to play for here.
I think that was the honest thing was right there. It was luck. This caution puts the BMW in the fuel window. I think right now he does in fact have enough fuel.
And Tonis Kazimitz has been fast in the first 2 rounds of this season. He is hanging right there yet again, Chris.
Well, Brian, early on we talked about this track changing over the course of the race. Early on at the start, the track temp was 100 degrees. Right now it's 130, so we've seen it increase by 30 degrees. And the Fall Line group really anticipated that this week, and they knew that they weren't going to get much track time, and they knew that the track was going to be hot on Saturday. So what they did coming into practice, they wanted to trick the car. They used tires from Homestead. They didn't start out with new rubber to try and mask anything that the car was doing. They wanted to find the most used up tires they had from Homestead and really get a setup that would be good late in the race. But one thing they don't want to see is any more cautions.
Well, they need that longer run. They really feel their advantage, as Chris was describing there, is as the tires get really hot, that their car will still maintain its balance in relationship to the other cars in front of them. So they don't want to see these cautions where the other guys can cool their tires back down again.
At the beginning of the race, it was Joe Foster who looked so smooth in that number 15 Multimatic Mustang. Right now, Scott Maxwell has control of it, but Bill Auberlin has control of this race. We talked about the strength of BMWs, even with competition adjustments, I should say. Out of the top 4, 3 of them are BMWs right now.
Yeah, that's pretty, it says a lot, doesn't it? But a half hour to go, and it's more of a sprint race kind of attitude right now, because in 30 minutes, you're really not going to burn off your tires and so forth all that much.
Billy Auberlin looking for 2 in a row. It was a dominant performance that they put in at Homestead. Really had the setup right there, and to get 2 wins out of the first 3 rounds, that's really going to just increase their championship lead that they currently hold over the rest of this field.
If he thought he had a restriction coming into this race, that's never mind.
Well, as you look back through the field, you also saw the blue Mustang in there, the 21 of Todd Snyder. That is not for position. This battle indeed is. This is the front of the ST category where Nick Janssen is there. That BMW that you see sliding to the inside, not for position right now. It's Ian Boss that's behind a part of that battle, but that is one of the Bimmer World BMWs, the 81. Not for position here, but Nick Janssen has his eyes on his mirror on that Volkswagen of Ian Boss.
Yeah, that's who he's going to have to defend from, and what a great story is now playing out here. The 2 most locally based teams are running at the front of the ST points right now. The APR team had the points lead, Kinetic a second, and they're from local turf, so it's really a great home battle here today.
APR from just down the road, Ian Boss trying to hold on. Jamie, can they win another one?
They're certainly going to try, Brian. I just spoke with APR, and they said we're really, really close on fuel, but we're going to roll the dice on this one. We're not going to bring him in. We know it's going to be close, but we would rather go out with a fight than stop right now and play it safe. So he's going to keep on going, but he's definitely going to be conserving fuel.
Nick Janssen's not going to be easy to pass. There's a lot at stake for this Kia group with the factory down the way and all of the support they've had from these people. They've worked really hard for the last year to try to get this first win. Certainly, we know Nick, and he's not going to give it up.
Well, he is very aggressive, and they had the second place finish in the opening round at Daytona, so they want to go one better. And you talked about it, the locally based manufacturing plant. There's a lot of people on hand from that plant, and they've got to be really happy right now with the performance that the team is putting up.
Jesse Combs was in that ST battle as well on his 56, but look at this gaggle of cars. See the 33 of Brian Sellers, who came in for fuel during that last full course caution. These guys trying to get back up to the front after the strategy that they employed a little bit earlier did not work. You also see the 00, Eric Curran. He had to come to pit road as well after running in the top 3, as did Brian Sellers. 54 of Mike McGovern in there as well. Great battles all around this Barber Motorsports Park complex.
There's my angry little group I've been looking for. They always show up.
Oh, you know, 26 minutes on the board. Whatever they got, they're going to start giving it pretty soon here. So I think these guys are going to get even more aggressive than we're seeing so far.
That's the battle for 16th. Back there, McGovern, Lawson Aschenbach in the 62. Eric Curran in there, Brian Sellers.
Some really good drivers in there for 16th position, nonetheless.
Seth Thomas in the Bimmer World BMW, and one of the 2 Grand Sport entries. They still have their 2 Street Tuner entries, but moving up with 2 cars into the Grand Sport category as well.
That's just plain fun right there. I mean, what those guys are into is just plain fun.
Rob Finley there currently holding down the 12th position with that white Mustang, doing a great job today, but in the thick of the action all day long.
Look at that, one of the APR Grand Sport Audi in there as well. That was the 91. The good stuff all around this racetrack. The 54 continuing to have a good run, Chris.
I talked to Mike McGovern earlier in the weekend, and they're still running that Mustang GT, that previous model car. But the good thing is the Jim Click group is going to move over to that Boss 302. Right now, that car, their brand new car, is at Roush. It's getting all kinds of updates, and they're going to hope to have that car on the racetrack later this summer.
The APR car that you saw up there in front of that group is the 91 of Josh Hurley, so they're having a good run in 14th in their Audi. Oh, it's Bill Auberman who continued to lead. Plenty of excitement right here at Barber Motorsports Park. We'll be back. Tonight, our biggest season of live Monster Energy Supercross races on. Chad Reed, Ryan Villapoto, James Stewart, and the greatest riders in the world go bar to bar in a full throttle battle to the top of the podium. Don't miss Monster Energy Supercross tonight from Seattle, live at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, only on Speed. The crowd, it's always good here at Barber Motorsports Park. The fans here outside Birmingham, Alabama, love their motorsports. Under full course caution here in round 3 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. This was a big one.
Yeah, look at the 54 here, Mike McGovern. I'm not sure if he got tagged there by the 62 there under braking there, forced him in the grass, and he just T-bones these other cars.
He did, in fact, get tagged back there, and it sent him into the grass. If we see that replay again, you'll see it happen. Nothing McGovern could have done once he got put off.
That was that group that you said looked like they were having a lot of fun, Dorsey.
I said that was an angry little group, and that's fun to do, but I was about to say that until somebody,
said they were going to get more aggressive, too.
And they did. Chris.
Well, I checked in with the crew at Mitchell Motorsports, and they said Lawson Aschenbach just essentially was in a pack of cars. He said everybody was kind of getting checked up, and he just couldn't slow the car down. So it doesn't sound like there was anything intentional there. But Lawson did bring the car back, a bunch of damage to the right front corner, but it didn't look like there was any damage to the suspension. So they were able to pull that bodywork away from the tire, and Lawson is back on the racetrack. Jamie?
Well, the number 54 stayed out on track. Mitch Fuller, you're the crew chief. You've been on the radio with Mike McGovern. What did he say happened?
He said we just got plowed right from behind. The extent of exactly what happened, I mean, we were battling with the 62 there pretty good, and he said we just got hit right from behind there and got hit into the 50 Finley car there. It looks like we took out that driver's side of that car pretty good. Right in front of our car is pretty heavily damaged. Whether we get it back out is going to be questioned. Once we get it back to the paddock, we'll be able to see what kind of extent of damage here.
Now, we know that the plan for the team is to move to the Boss 302 later in the year. Damage like this, does that accelerate that program?
I mean, we already have the car. You know, we ran the car last season. It was great. It was just a matter of, you know, we got notice 3 weeks ahead of time that we were coming here to race. And, you know, our team all has full-time jobs during the day, and then we work on this at night. So our, you know, just time did not permit for us to have that car available for us for this race. So we went back to the old faithful here, but we'll have that car at the Glen here and ready to race in the Boss 302 and be back up front.
Tough day for a hardworking team, but great run nonetheless.
Tough day indeed. You see the Porsche pace car leading the field. It's Bill Auberland, Scott Maxwell, Denise Kazimitz, Joey Hand, and Guy Cosmo. That is the top 5. But this was a big one. And Barber, you put almost 60 cars out here. You don't get surprised when you see things like this.
What you got to look at is way back up here. Watch these 2 cars. McGovern's been hit. Now he comes through the grass, can't stop. T-Bones, big hit, which causes a 3-way crash right there. Really nothing in the world he could have done about that, Calvin, once he got pushed off in the grass.
Once you're on that grass, you got no retardation compared to the other cars there, and he just slams into the side of Rob Finley, which fortunately he's okay. I did notice a little cut on Tom McGovern's chin there, so he took a little bit of a whack there in that incident, I believe.
Man, look at the 54 car there in the background.
More than likely that was his microphone inside the helmet that nicked him right there. But that, that you can see how big an impact it was. There was no slowing down once he was pushing that grass.
And that doesn't look bad because you're looking at the good side of the car.
Right. Yeah, I was about to say.
And I think what we're talking about, Aschenbach was literally right on his tail. So it wasn't like he came from a long bay and just steamrolled him. He was right on him. So when McGovern got on the brakes, he continually got pushed there into the brake zone.
Right. Well, look at it again and realize all these guys are at the end of a very long straightaway, and they're trying to get hard onto the brakes. So it's a very high-speed deal. I'll show you again. Back up here, these 2 cars are going to make contact right about right there. You see it turn, Mustang turn. Now, once he hits the grass, nothing he can do. Monster impact with the 50, and of course that ricochets into the 19.
And what happened there when you saw the red car suddenly go a little bit sideways was as he was getting on the brakes, and he was then being leaned on by Aschenbach and just turned him into the grass area.
Well, it was interesting. I don't know if Lawson got into someone else, but you saw the right front damage to Lawson Aschenbach's car, and it wasn't from the contact with Mike McGovern, so he must have hit someone else as well.
Yeah, you know, we're looking at a head-on shot when we watch that wreck, and it doesn't show the speed, but that's a long straightaway brake zone. That's going into turn 5, and so that was pretty high speed.
Yeah, and you saw Mike McGovern get out and go over and make sure that Rob Finley was okay, tried to help him get out of the car, but that left side door was not going to open, and the little nick there on Mike McGovern's chin. But it was good to see all of those drivers out of the car. As you said, Dorsey, it didn't look like it was that big a deal, but the impact, I can tell you, between McGovern and Finley was pretty substantial indeed.
Particularly if you're the center car in a sandwich like that. You know, you're taking a hit on one side, which would normally push you out of its way, but then when you smash into the car on the other side, you are the meat in the sandwich.
Well, this last full course caution, it's going to only have about 15 minutes to go to the checkered flag, and it is going to be an all-out war. The 15. They have anything to take it to the front with, Jamie?
Joe Foster, we know that this one's been tough for you guys. Getting to the closing stages, is there enough fuel and enough left in the car to really push it to the checkers?
I think we actually were hoping for a green. The car is very good on long runs. We've been managing the tires very well. It's just a game of tire management. We could have made it to the end actually under green, so we were hoping for green. But so caution changes it up a bit. Everybody will have a little bit of a rugby scrum at the end. We'll see what happens. But Multimatic Ford Racing Boss 302R is running fantastic, and all we did all day long is just manage the tires.
Smartest one wins the race, and these guys are right on their way. Thank you, Joe.
Well, Joe Foster, the pole sitter here, says a rugby scrum is what we have coming up. 15 minutes to go in round 3. Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge action from Barber Motorsports Park. Don't miss this. Well, it is going to be a shootout to the checkered flag from here at Barber Motorsports Park. And we've got BMWs and Mustangs up front, but sitting back there in 5th, the first of the Porsches, Chris.
Yeah, and the only Porsche in the top 10, and it's John Tisi's Porsche at BGB Motorsports. John, we ran into Guy Cosmo earlier this weekend, and he kind of had a little bit of a temper tantrum in the paddock because he hated the racetrack so much. But right now, you guys are doing well.
Yeah, you know, with Chris, when that happens, we try and just turn our radios off and stick our fingers in our ears. Everybody's dealing with a bad racetrack. There's 60 cars out there. We're all playing the same deck of cards, and we're just trying to get the Cayman to the front. The Cayman hasn't had a win, and a lot of people out there told us the Cayman's never going to get a win, and we're going to show them wrong.
Well, they're looking for a good result this year. They haven't been on the podium yet, but they have won in the Continental Series 5 times.
And it would be special. It would be special for them to win here because this is basically a Porsche track. The Porsche driving school is here, and they want to do it here because they'd like to get a little more support from Porsche for that Cayman. And look at this, Oberlin bringing him down slow, and Kazimierz has been known to be aggressive, and he was aggressive right there on the restart.
He really was. Going down in that last corner, he gave Maxwell a little up tap there, say, get ready, we're about to go green. Oberlin again times the start perfectly. Not the big jump, the big lead he had before. He may have to defend going into turn 5, but gets off of that corner really well. That was key.
And one of the biggest problems for Guy Cosmo in that bright green Porsche may be that blue Mustang in front, Todd Snyder. That is not for position. So Snyder not in the hunt. He's a lap down, but he is in the way of Guy Cosmo trying to get to the front. Cosmo looks to the inside of Snyder. Nothing doing there. Meanwhile, it's Oberlin off the hairpin, continuing to lead.
Unfortunately, Snyder's car that got a lap down early was a very competitive car. So, I mean, it's capable of running at the front.
Yeah, he's been really quick. He's been pretty aggressive, though, in terms of holding that track position. So it may be a problem for Cosmo to get through there. John Edwards doing a great job. Remember, Mike Johnson made the call with the Stevenson Autosport car there, and he's now really putting the pressure on that green Cayman there.
Nice slide.
I love that. That's like, you know, cracking the whip. The further back you are, the more sideways you are.
This is good stuff. John Edwards in the Camaro, Guy Cosmo in that 83 Porsche Cayman, and the 13 as well. Matt Plum trying to hang on, and they just have not had the typical rum bum weekend. We haven't seen the strength out of that car, and we know that there were some RPM adjustments. But right now, Plum under attack by Billy Johnson.
He is. Johnson looks really, really strong here. We know he's got a lot of speed. Does he have the patience? Time is running out. Just under 12 minutes to go, Doss.
Snyder moved out of the way. That was a very, very gentlemanly thing.
Oh, look at this. Edwards to the inside.
Gets it done. Can Cosmo cut back underneath in the Porsche? He's alongside, but not enough. If they hold this down to turn 1, it'll be John Edwards' corner. Let's see.
Braking duel down into 1. I guarantee the Porsche's on the inside.
Oh, he keeps the nose in there. Edwards slides wide. Cosmo takes it back.
Not yet, he hasn't.
Edwards saw him coming. He tried to give him enough room, but then ran wide by doing so. I'm not sure if they traded paint or not. There they do a little bit.
Oh, and Edwards trying to pinch it down. The car gets a little loose now. Cosmo wide.
That's really loose at the top of that hill. If they so much as touch, it's going to be a big one.
Another braking duel as they enter the hairpin down at the end of this straight.
Look at Johnson there. He's in the mix as well. He stacks up. Edwards tries to stop. He gets a little tap there. Johnson, 2 positions, maybe 3.
3 positions. Billy Johnson, that was a great mouth brake maneuver. Had a little love tap there.
Cosmo not giving up, continuing to hold down the point there. And in this battle, Johnson wants it.
This could be payback. Watch the Camaro.
Meanwhile, the rest of the field beginning to pull away here while these 3 have their own fight. And up front, Scott Maxwell all over the back of Bill Oberlin.
That was a bigger hit than you think when you look at the Camaro. Next time, look at the back end of the Camaro. You see it's dislodged the whole rear bumper section from when the Mustang got into it. Watch
Johnson's to the inside here. It's a big, heavy car. I think he's going to shove his way through.
These 2 drivers almost running a complete lap. Look at Cosmo holding on.
Oh, Edwards goes with him, uses all of the curb, gets the Camaro to the inside for the upcoming right-hander.
Wow, good stuff. Cosmo has to back out. One of the things John Tisi had said earlier in the weekend was we'd like to have a little bit wider rear tire on this Cayman, and you could see why. A little more grip in the back would have helped. Man, that was intense.
I'd like a little wider car.
Yeah. Look at this. Maxwell is looking awfully threatening here on our leader, Billy Oberlin. You see in the background there, Joey Hand starting to put some pressure on Tony Kazimierz. That car's made 4 pit stops today compared to the 2 pit stops for the other cars all the way around him.
Well, Maxwell looking good right there. I mean, he's really got the Mustang tight to the curb. It's not sliding. It's pretty clean drive off the corner.
Scott Maxwell, very experienced, a past champion in this category, but he's got one tough customer in front of him, and we're running out of time. Just over 9 minutes to go. Oh, and a little wide there.
Yeah, Billy's out wide of the apex. Little understeer. Might have got some of that pickup on the tires, Cal.
Yeah, you run out wide, you start to pick up some of those marbles. We've seen a lot of pickup from the tires that come off these cars during the course of the race.
Take a look at this. This was the battle between Plum. Oh, and there's the contact with
that wasn't subtle.
Yeah, no.
Neither is this. Bam.
Yeah, boom.
Johnson.
Billy
Edwards
Johnson
just trying to hang on.
Wow.
All those cars were technically out of control right there for a moment.
Wasn't the term rugby scrum?
Yeah.
Isn't that what Joe Foster said? That's certainly what we saw there, but Scott Maxwell has kept his nose clean He's taken the fight to Bill Auberlen, and now Cosmo has dropped back a little bit, Ben, but you cannot fight any harder than those drivers were fighting right there.
And the key is a lot of these cars we're looking at, Johnson, Edwards, Plum, they all had really quick cars. It's just the strategy they played. They didn't bank on all this yellow for these leaders to be able to get to the finish without a splash.
A lot of emotion on the racetrack between those four drivers. Take a look at the emotion in pit lane.
Mike Johnson defending his car.
Yeah, he's talking about Johnson there getting into the back of Edwards and basically hitting him and then taking the position. He feels they should give that position back.
Whole team.
Not going to happen.
Whole team getting a little anxious there. Bill Auberlen, you got to wonder if he's not feeling a little anxious. How good is that BMW underneath him as Scott Maxwell really keeps that pressure on?
BMW really loose there.
Nick Janssen continuing the lead in the ST category, but Ian Boss taking the fight there as well. This race far from over, and we'll have more when we come back to Barber Motorsports Park, round 3. Tonight, Formula One on speed travels to Shanghai International Circuit, round number 3, and home to one of the trickiest corner combinations on the Formula One calendar. Don't miss the Grand Prix of China live tonight at 2:30 a.m. Eastern, 11:30 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on speed. We're back with you, round 3 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge from Barber Motorsports Park. It is round 3, and it is a good one, both in Grand Sport and Street Tuner. Bill Auberlen with his hands full of Scott Maxwell in Grand Sport, and in ST, it's Nick Janssen trying to bring Kia their victory in front of the home crowd here.
Auberlen's wailing on that BMW, but I got to tell you, between the two cars, the Mustang looks to be better stock.
Yeah. It's definitely got more grip at this stage of the race, so Billy Auberlen's really going to earn his money here if he's going to hold on for another victory. But Scott Maxwell is one of the cleanest drivers out there, and you know, he's not going to force the issue, I don't think. That's not been his history, but again, they want a victory. They're in the thick of this points battle too, so they need to get that position away. They recognize that Billy Auberlen leads the points right now, and they need to get in front of him and cut into that cushion he has.
And I know we've been guilty of this in the past. We tend to think of the Mustang as a heavy car that goes real fast but doesn't handle particularly well or brake particularly well. But right now, it seems to me that Maxwell has the advantage in the tighter portions of the racetrack and in the braking zone.
You know, Ford, when they built this Boss 302, they took the street car version of it and they put it up against the BMW as a test to make sure that the Boss 302 was capable of handling better or as good or better than BMW. And you can see right now it's paid dividends. But I'll tell you, Bill Auberlen is a master in that car. There's nobody better in a BMW. He can throw it around, and you've seen it right now.
Yeah, he's driving the wheels off that thing, and the problem is the way he's sliding around there. If Maxwell gets to the position of the inside of one of these corners, I don't think he's got enough grip to retaliate. There you see it. Maxwell dives to the inside. Will he force the issue?
Try to switch
Auberlen will have the inside for the upcoming corner. Maxwell back out of it. He'll try and get the launch onto the front straightaway.
And he's got it. He's got a good run up the inside, does the switch over. Now it's going to be a brake tool in the turn 1.
Beautiful job by Maxwell. He's in the prime position now. I don't think there's anything Auberlen can do on the outside. He'll try and hang with him and get the inside line for the next one. But no, Maxwell takes it.
We talked about the braking capability of the Mustang, and you saw it right there. Not only the brakes there in turn 1, but that pass actually happened coming back onto the front straight.
That was both drivers right there fully aware of what they were doing. They did the double crossover, really. That was a pass, repass, repass.
What was that?
One guy got by the other.
Auberlen, he's coming back at it. Auberlen hasn't given up yet. I think what Billy needs right now is some ST traffic to play a factor in here. Look at Kazimierz. He's coming on strong in the full line 46 car.
And that car is actually putting down power a little bit better than Auberlen too. You see Auberlen's car really doing the 4-wheel slides.
It's the first time I saw Scott Maxwell with a little wiggle under the braking into the hairpin, but now Bill Auberlen has to be concerned a little bit with Tonis Kazimierz behind him. Remember, Auberlen and Dallalana lead the Grand Sport points category, and at some point in time, you got to say, you know what, we'll take these second place points and go, but I don't think Bill Auberlen's quite there yet.
Maxwell switched his headlights on to make sure that anybody in front of him is not going to hold him up. 3.5 minutes left to go.
Talking to the Turner Motorsports boys this weekend, they said this RPM thing has really affected our gearing around the racetrack. There's a couple of turns here where they used to use second and grab third just on the exit. No longer could they afford to go down to second. They had to use third. So talking to their engineer, Ken Stay, said, I've really had to work on getting the car to roll through the corner more. He said the problem is when the tires lose their life, you can't do that any longer, and that may be affecting Bill Oberlin in the late stages of this race.
And this racetrack is gearing critical with 15 corners on it. I mean, you've got to have the gears exactly the way you want, and on the course these cars you don't have any options available.
Scott Maxwell continuing to lead. It's been since 2008 that he and his teammate Joe Foster won this race in this category. And then when you look back in ST, Nick Janssen continues to lead, but BJ Zacharias has moved up to second place. Ian Boss has fallen back to fourth. So perhaps APR's hopes of coming away with another victory are going away there. But for Nick Janssen, how big would that win be for Kia?
Well, that's huge. And with the fact that Ian Boss has been moved back a position or two, that's really going to help him in the points, because Janssen was second coming in here and needed to make up some points on those guys. He was, in fact, 14 points behind. So it's going to be a big day if he can hang on.
You can't even go into the amount of effort that's gone into this program with Kia, you know, bringing a brand new car to this country that's never been raced anywhere in the world. No performance parts, no anything. These guys have slaved over it. Hopefully will come good.
Look at Billy Johnson. He is coming on real strong. He's running out of time. He's got a strong race car. They made that call as to when to make their final pit stop, but he is going to be really affected here. Look at this. Larry Holt on the Multimatic box. He's trying to bring his guys home here. He's certainly called a great strategy in terms of the race so far, but look at Billy Johnson. He's probably the fastest guy on the racetrack right now.
He was indeed the fastest of those four cars the last time around, but we are running out. 1 minute 53 seconds left to go.
I was about to say Tonis Kazmits is looking racy. He has no choice though, because look right behind him now is Billy Johnson really putting the pressure on. They both have to get by Oberlin.
Bill Oberlin with a little slide there. You can tell the tires beginning to lose some of their grip. Perhaps he's given up on, oh, there's a big slide off the corner. Billy Johnson feeling racy. Oberlin has to think championship. How much do you risk if these guys come hard here on this last lap?
The guys in third are coming hard, not only for third place, they want that second place.
Absolutely.
Got one more time around to figure it out.
Billy Oberlin certainly has won a lot of championships. He thinks big picture, but he's also a fierce competitor. He doesn't want to lose, and he doesn't want to lose any position he doesn't have to.
This is going to be big. This is riding on board the 10 Kia. Going for its first win ever if it can just hold out this lap.
And big for BJ Zacharias and Kevin Doran with that BMW, the 1 Series, running second right now in ST. So big day there and good things in the future. Look at this. Billy Johnson trying to put the moves on Tonis Kazmits. Johnson wants to be the final step on the podium.
Oh boy, this could get dicey in the last half a lap here.
Yeah, Tonis is a pretty aggressive driver too, and he wants to put in a good performance. He's working with the team owner, Mark Bowden, in this car, so he wants to bring it home on the podium for his boss.
Right now, Scott Maxwell in control, and the battle really is over the third position between Tonis Kazmits in the blue BMW and Billy Johnson in the red 61, the Boss 302 Mustang.
God, I love to see these cars using the curbs and bouncing around, sliding, four-wheel drifts.
Oh,
that's just like that.
That was sweet. Maxwell, what a superb job. He was so patient in those laps where he's buried in the middle of the pack, kept the car clean. Look at Johnson.
Good run up the inside. That should work.
What a move. What a move.
And you cannot defend it. Woo. Johnson using all of the curbs to get and take advantage of Tonis Kazmits. And now about a car length between. Can Kazmits come back? One corner to go.
He sealed the deal by putting Kazmits in the dirty part of the racetrack, so he's got rubber pickup now, I guarantee you.
Scott Maxwell, Joe Foster. It's been since 2008, but they will take the victory from here at Barber Motorsports Park. Climb back atop of the podium, and Larry Holt says, we called this one right, guys. I talked to Joe Foster the other day. He said, I give Scott Maxwell all the time he wants in the car. He's the expert at setting it up, and I just get in and drive it. Nick Janssen right now trying to bring Kia their victory, but Kevin Doran with a brand new entry this year with 2 BMWs, the 1 Series in ST. BJ Zacharias, his driver, trying to bring home their maiden victory.
Kevin Doran celebrated his 50th birthday here yesterday. I think he's going to come just a little bit shy in celebrating a win here, but what a great performance by this team. The BMW looking great.
And Nick Janssen just looking down the front straightaway. The fist comes out the window. The flag waves. That's it for Kia. Michael Galati celebrating on the wall with the team. Nick Janssen, this entire Kinetic Motorsports team has worked so hard with these Kias over the last year or so to improve them. We remember the debut of this team at Daytona and how slow the cars were. How far have they come to take the victory? And for Scott Maxwell and Joe Foster, there'll be plenty of celebrations from here at Barber Motorsports Park. We'll bring you all of those celebrations when we come back right after this. Stick around.